Hello and welcome to officially session 2. This is session 1 of the strategy section, but session 2 of the Wellness Coaching Business Academy. My name is Brad Cooper. You got familiar with this voice in the first section, and now it's time to get started. It's time to get serious. We talked about a lot of introductory type things. We tried to get you thinking about some different things in that first session, but this is when we really dig in. This is when the real education comes to the forefront, and we really start to create this business that you're working on. So a lot of exciting things to go through today. I want to make sure that we've got time for everything without dragging this out too long. Again, the goal is to keep all of these sessions between 35 and 45 minutes, and I just barely made it on the last one. So let's see how we do with this, and we'll dive right in. So tonight's focus is on creating your vision and your defining statement. Now, this is such a missing component for most folks that have their own business. They jump in. They're like, okay, I've got my business. Now I'm going to go market, and I'm going to have clients, and I'm going to move forward. And they forget critical first step. Critical. And I'm going to emphasize this throughout, but this is that stuff that those of you that are probably like me in many ways in terms of you just want to get started. Just get me rolling. Just get the business. I get it. I totally get it. But if you don't do this first, you'll be way behind the 8 ball later. So take the time, and again, at the end of this, I'm going to have some, in quotes, assignments for you to do, a couple things to walk through before you go to the next session. We have 3 sessions on strategy. This one sets up the next one. But regardless of how much of a hurry you are to get this thing rolling, don't skip that process. Because if you do this well, it'll set you up for everything else going forward. If you skip through this, if you fly through it, well, you're going to pay for it later. So vision, defining statement, let's jump in. The vision, first thing, your why. What's driving you? Why are you doing this? If you have a big enough why, the how's easy. We can take care of it. If you literally are completely focused on that why, and it's a huge driver for you, the how's going to be fine. Don't worry about the how. We'll take care of the how. But until you have that why, the rest of it struggles. So make certain that as you think this stuff through, you really think through what is your why. And we're going to talk that through here in a minute. The next is your who. What gives you your competitive advantage? And you might say, I don't have any idea. This is brand new. I get it. You've got a lot of competitive advantages. We're going to draw them out over the next 30 minutes or so. And then your why, your where. How does that fit with the marketplace? So let's look at this. Your why. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you taking the time, the energy? Why don't you just go get a job? Really, it's so much easier. Just go work for somebody. Clock in, clock out, get your lunch hour, get your benefit, move on. Why are you wanting to start your own business? Really? Have you identified that? I mentioned a book in the last session called The E-Myth, and the idea that he talks about most entrepreneurs are not truly entrepreneurs. They're technicians who have an entrepreneurial seizure. Are you in the middle of an entrepreneurial seizure, or do you really have a firm why on moving forward? Not something I would say, I like a great idea, oh yeah, I want to go do this, but why does this fit into things long term for you? Is it the impact you want to have? Is it you're just so passionate about this you can't stand to hold it back any further? Is it finances? Either as a full-time thing, or maybe it's a part-time. Maybe you're keeping your full-time job or your part-time job, and you're doing this as a side business to provide some extra finances. Is it the freedom that comes with running your own business? And again, don't get the wrong message about running your own business. You're going to work as hard and as long as you ever have. But if you do it well, it can set up additional freedom down the road. So is that your target? Is it growth? Have you thought about it? Have you doing your own business for years? Have you gone to conferences and events and said, you know, I'm going to do that, and now is the time? Or is it something that's not even on this list? What is it for you? And it might be a good time to pause this video and literally take your journal or take a notepad that you're keeping notes on and write some things down. What is your why? Now, once you've identified that, then we get into the who. And this is where your competitive advantage comes to the forefront. And you're going to use this as we get into the marketing components later on, as we get into your business plan later on, as we look at key performance indicators, your SWOT analysis, all those kinds of things. Your competitive advantage is going to be critical. So again, it's really easy to sit here and listen to Brad blabber and then go, yeah, I got it. But if you really want to make this work, take that pencil, take that piece of paper, jot this stuff down, make specific notes about what do I bring to the forefront? What are my competitive advantages? And again, it doesn't matter if this is your first time out of the gate. You've never coached a client before. You just finished your certification, and this is step 1A, if you will, or 1B. That's okay. You still got a lot you bring to the table, and that's what we want to draw out here. So first of all, what are the gifts that you bring to the table? What are you good at? Do you communicate very well with people? Do you have this gift of communication? Have you found that you really are a great coach when it comes down to it? Are you a very hard worker, real disciplined? Are you a morning person? Are you a grinder? You can get it done. Once you put your mind to it, it happens no matter what. Are you super organized? All of those kinds of gifts are beneficial in running your own business and can help you as you set this stuff up. Second thing, your history. What have you done? Maybe you're 4 years old and you're just coming out of kindergarten, but I doubt it. You've had other jobs. You've done other things. You've led other groups. As you think about maybe your resume, maybe it's worth pulling your resume out and going, well, what did I get out of that job that's going to help me running my own business? What did I get out of that job that's going to help me being an effective wellness coach or business owner? Just take your resume and literally go through it piece by piece, and instead of thinking what would an employer think, almost interview yourself. What is it in your history that brings a bonus to what you're doing with this growing your business? Third thing, education or training. Obviously, you've been through your coaching certification, but what other education have you had? What other things have you done? What other courses have you taken? What other conferences have you attended? Those all give you a competitive advantage. Write those things down. We're going to come back to those. And if you're just kind of nodding your head and going, yeah, good stuff, Brad, you're not going to get the benefit that we want you to get out of this. Next one, your network, your connections. That's huge. That is huge. Your network, and I wasn't the original one to say this, but I can't think of who did, determines your net worth. The connections you have, the groups you spend time with, both the breadth and the depth of those groups, how well you know those folks, how deep you go into that group, how well you're known in those groups, how wide that is it 3 people or is it 300? Huge benefit in terms of growing your company. Finances. What's your financial situation? If you've got some cash flow that can sustain this for a while, that gives you some additional options. It allows you not to cut to the bone on certain things or have to be out there working at the same time. By the same token, if you don't have that, admit it up front and say, look, this is going to take some time. You don't start a business overnight. If you are profitable at the end of the year, congratulations, great job. It may take longer than that. And so plan for that accordingly. Talents, what talents do you have? It kind of comes back to the gifts. Maybe you're a great speaker, maybe you're a great writer. What knowledge base do you have? And then what's your schedule like? Not on a perfect day or a perfect week. What's your typical schedule like? Because that's going to have a big impact. Do you have all day long and your weekends and your evenings and your mornings to make this work? Or are you working full time and you've basically got Tuesday afternoon and weekends and a couple of nights a week to do this? Look at that critically. and say, on a typical week, not best case scenario, not week 1, 2, 3, 4, but week 51, 52, 53, what is your schedule like? How much time can you legitimately commit to growing your business? Very important to focus that in, to dial that in right out of the gate. So your why, your who, and now your where. Now, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. We're going to have you dream a little bit, but I'm also going to try to bring you back to reality on what this needs to look like. Let's start with the practical side. What are the things, and this may change. You may adjust this over the first 6 months or the second year or the 5th year. We're constantly making adjustments, and you likely will too. Most companies do. Most effective companies do. But just to start with, what is your marketplace going to be? Are you a clinician, a physical therapist, a massage therapist, a dietitian, a triathlon coach? And this is some sort of an extension of your current services. Is that what you're going to do? Or are you thinking you'll partner with a complementary provider, so a physician, or maybe you're going to go into a physical therapy clinic or a chiropractic clinic. You're going to work hand in hand with a nutritionist or dietitian. Maybe you're going to consult with a YMCA or a fitness center or a health club. Maybe you're thinking you're going to go the employee wellness route. You're going to work with companies. By the way, you may have heard me say this in other programs, that there's a huge need for companies with under 100 employees. Maybe that's an opportunity. Are you going to do individual coaching? Have a handful of clients. You're going to work one-on-one with them. Are you going to do more group sessions? Again, it doesn't matter what your answers are, but it matters dramatically that you know what your answers are. Everybody that's listening to this, everyone that goes through this program has different answers, and that's absolutely fine. There's not the answer. But you've got to know your answer if you're going to be able to build this business. If you just go in and say, oh yeah, I'm building a business. Well, where are we going to do it? What's it going to look like? What's the format going to be? Got it? All right. So let's talk through some of these different tweaks of what I just went through. And we're going to get into pricing later. That's coming, I don't remember exactly which session, but around session 8 or 9 or 7, something like that. But just in terms of thinking this through and planning for the future, I want to give you a quick glance at this diagram here. On a per-person basis, what you're able to charge, obviously it's based on your network. If you're, depending where you live and what your network is like and those kinds of things. But in terms of model, the revenue per person that you're working with generally goes up, but it runs along this time, that's your time, quality, credibility, all those kinds of things, and the personalization. So for example, on the far left, you got Lunch and Learns. You're not going to be able to charge much for that, if at all. This may be a loss leader for you. So Lunch and Learns, once you develop the Lunch and Learn, it doesn't take you a lot of time. Obviously, the quality will help you, but once you've practiced that a few times, you're dialed in. And it's not personalized to the individual. It's provided to a group or an employer or a facility, a health club, something. But again, you can't charge much for it. So it's on the bottom left corner of this. Group sessions, might be able to charge a little bit more if you're doing something for the Lunch and Learn. It's going to take a little more time. It's a little bit more personalized than Lunch and Learn. If you're doing an employee wellness program, again, you'll be able to charge a little bit more. There's going to be some individual component to that, but not as much as if you've got this individual wellness coaching format going on. And then that's not going to be as high of pay or revenue per person as the executive wellness coaching, which will take even more time and will require even more credibility, even more personalization. So again, I'm just trying to get you thinking here, what does your model look like? And you're going to change over time, but as you think this through, where do you see yourself landing with this? All right, so dream. I want you to dream. Go for it. Think through what is this? What could this really look like? Maybe we're talking 5 years down the road. but dream a little bit. What's your setting? What's the size of your business? Do you have other coaches working for you, or is it your thing? What's your schedule look like? Do you only work on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Or no. You love this, and you're trying to drive some revenue. You're at that point in your life where you need to make some money, and you're going to be busy, but it's going to be going great. What types of clients do you see? And be as specific with all these as possible. Don't just say 5 clients. Say, I'm going to be working with college-educated women between 30 and 50 who want to do XYZ, and that's your topics component. And then are you going to have employees? Not just other coaches, but an administrator, marketing person, those kinds of things. So dream a little bit. And again, pause it. I'm going to give you an example here, but pause it and jot yours down. And you can change it. You're not putting this in stone. You're not committing to this for, this is the only model you can ever dream about. No. As you learn the field, as you learn the industry, as you get your feet wet, you're going to change that. But for now, forget reality. Just dive in and dream a little bit. And here's an example, a sample dream model. Maybe you want to earn a comfortable supplementary income. You're working another job, or you don't need to work another job, but you need to supplement your maybe family's income or your couple's income. So your dream model is to earn a comfortable supplementary income by investing 20 hours per week on a flexible schedule that allows for time with family, kids' activities, and your own personal wellness pursuits. My home base, will be my home office. I will provide both on-site and telephonic coaching approximately 10 hours a week, while providing support for 3 other coaches within my business the remainder of the week. So basically, you spend 10 hours with coaching and 10 hours managing, administration, that kind of thing. My clients will consist of women between 35 and 55 who are engaged, big word there, but engaged, not to someone to be married, but in the process of their wellness, in improving their lives through a focused emphasis on wellness, especially, and here are your topics, stress management and exercise. All right, so you see this isn't the answer, this isn't the model, it's just an example. Well, pause the video and write down your dream. And it might be completely different than this. You may want to work with, well, I won't go into examples because there's a million of them, but you get the idea. What is your dream? What does this look like? Forget reality for a minute. What would it look like if you're dreaming? All right, so pause it, jot some of those things down. Now that we've dreamed a little bit, let's bring reality in a little as well. So you can see on this graph, we've got on the left-hand column how well the model fits with you, who you are, what you want to do, your whole dream of schedule and clients and all these other things. On the bottom row, or on the bottom axis, we have the fit with the market, or reality, if you will. All right. Now this line, this is our reality base. Top left, that is the dream role. That is perfect. That's everything you've ever dreamed of, but there's no demand in the market. Or if there is, you're not able to find those clients. So it's your dream role, but you have no business. So dream away, buddy, but you got to pay the bills. Now on the far right-hand corner, or kind of bottom right, you've got a great fit with the market. It's what the market's demanding, but you don't like it. So you can get plenty of business doing that, but frankly, it's a nightmare. If you had to do that every day, why did I ever start this company? All right. So based on who you are, and this is different for everybody, but you've got this continuum. Your sweet spot, what you're looking for, is some reality without drifting into the nightmare. So you'll notice that sweet spot is not in the middle. We're trying to be on the you side, but it's enough. It's not so far to the left that there's no business. Now, as you grow your business, as you improve your systems, as you enhance your credibility, as you grow your client list, then you can start moving. You see that arrow, it's going up to the left there. You can move that sweet spot up to the left. So the more you're doing this, the more you'll have choices. But to begin with, you're trying to be at, kind of in that middle zone, or maybe slightly to the left of that middle zone. All right, so dream, but we've got to get some reality in here as well. So the now model is the other end of the spectrum. Maybe it's not the other end, but we're looking for that sweet spot area. So I want you to jot this down as well. You dreamed a minute ago. So thinking about all those same aspects, schedule, finances, staff, etc. What is your now model? What does your business look like now? And here's an example. Consistently invest 15 hours a week outside of my current full-time job. So you're working full-time, and you're going to figure out a way to do 15 hours a week to grow your business. You're going to focus. It's going to be in your home office, and you're going to focus on telephonic coaching because it allows you to grow your client list and less time commuting back and forth and meeting with clients. My clients will consist of people with checks, and I put a little smiley face in there, but I literally, when we started our business 10 years ago, I didn't say that out loud to anybody, but that's frankly what I was looking for. We needed people that would pay us. And if they weren't our perfect client, so be it. We got to do wellness. That allowed us to grow our business. And so maybe you're feeling the same way. Now, if you've got plenty of money put aside, you don't need to make money the first year doing this, then you don't need that little smiley face. But for us, and maybe for some of you, you want clients who have checks, who have money to spend on wellness. So clients will consist of people with checks who are looking to improve their lives across. And here's where you're saying, you know what? I want to work with stress management. I want to work with people with their fitness and nutrition. But frankly, right now, I'll take anybody in the wellness category. So my clients will consist of people with checks who are looking to improve their lives across a broad range of health and wellness pursuits. I will also speak on wellness to a variety of groups, an average of once a week, to build the business. Now, we'll get into marketing later, as I mentioned earlier. But this is just laying out. My business right now is coaching telephonically to people, whatever I can find, and I'm going to speak once a week to grow that business. That's your business right now. That's your executive summary of what you do. Okay? Does that make sense? Again, I would encourage you to pause it, write it out right now. You can tweak it later. You can change it later. We're actually going to have you fill these in before you go on to the next session. But why come back? Why save it for later? Just right now. Pause it. Write it down. Let's get an executive summary put together. This is your now model. All right. Once that executive summary is done, now we can move on to this concept of a defining statement. This, when I first came across this was 20 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, in terms of some things I was doing, a business I was building. And it seemed, when I first heard the person speaking on it, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, seriously? Why are we spending time on this? This is one of the most powerful things you can do out of the gate. If you do this well, it's going to give you a big-time running start. So let's spend a little time on this defining statement, and then I'll talk to you about what you can do with it. The common obstacle for most small business owners, most entrepreneurs, is they can't, I couldn't, communicate what we do and for whom we provide it. I know it's pretty basic. You give them, or you give me 3 paragraphs, I can tell you all about it. But that's not reality. You're not going to get 3 paragraphs. You get a headline. You get a statement. That's why it's a defining statement, not a defining paragraph. And keep in mind, it's your responsibility to communicate it. It's not your audience's responsibility to understand it. I mean, and you'd think once you have this down, you've got it dialed in. I just made this mistake last week. And again, we're starting our 10th year providing wellness, employee wellness programs, and I made the mistake again. I had a benefit consultant contact me and say, actually, I think I had reached out to her. How you doing? You know, it's been a while. Anything I can help you with? And she said, no, most of our clients need this model, and you guys do this other model. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't communicate clearly because we offered the exact thing that she was looking for. But she was under the impression that we only offered Model A. So I was lucky. It came up in the conversation. She was kind enough to put it out there as to why we hadn't connected. But we don't always get that opportunity. So this defining statement, if you can be clear about this, this will be very beneficial to you going forward. Now, when we talk about defining statements, the easiest way to think about this is when you go to a networking event, and people say, oh, what do you do? And it may not even be a networking event. It might be, you know, a church service or a small group you're involved with or a running club that you're in. The question comes up, what do you do? Right? Everywhere you go, what do you do? Well, you have three options when it comes to a defining statement. The first is your title. The second is the service you provide. The third is the outcome that you provide. And by the way, I went to a little retreat that Mark LeBlanc put on years ago, and he gave out these little books called Growing Your Business. And if you're digging this stuff and you want to go a little deeper, find his book, Mark LeBlanc, Growing Your Business. Little tiny book. It's actually sitting here on my desk. How many pages is it? I mean, it is the smallest book I own, I think. It's about 85. Yeah, it's about 85 pages, and it's maybe 6 inches high by 4 inches wide. So just quick reference there. But he says you've got three options. You can go title, you can go service, or you can go outcome. I'm going to encourage you, I think you'll see obviously from this, to go the outcome route. Let's talk through why. You can go with title. What do you do? Oh, I own a wellness coaching business. Great. It's wonderful. Congratulations. But as the listener, as the audience, there's nothing I can do with that. Unless I happen to be another wellness coach, own my own wellness coaching business, and now we can chat about it. Or if I'm in marketing and I can help you sell it or something. But you're not making me say, oh, I might be interested in that. Most people would be like, I don't even know what that is. So the title example, I own a wellness coaching business, or I'm the CEO of a wellness coaching business. Feel free, but it's not going to get you very far. The service example, a little bit better. Something like, I provide wellness coaching for individuals and businesses. Okay. If I happen to be an individual who's been looking for wellness coaching, I might say, oh, I've been looking for wellness coaching. I'm good to meet you. This is working out great. But that's probably not going to happen. Which leaves us with the third option, and that's the outcomes. Now, when you put the outcomes together, there are four things I want you to keep in mind. Keep it simple, the outcomes defining statement. There are four things I want you to keep in mind. Keep it simple. Keep it conversational. You don't want to pull out your 3x5 card. You don't want to have lingo in there that sounds very, very official. You're having a conversation. You're chatting with someone. Keep it that way. Keep it positive. We don't want to say, I help people stop doing X. Maybe you do. But in your phrase, try to make it more of the positive side of what you're stopping. And then make it easily, and I'm not even sure this is a word, but I threw it in there with quotes just in case, pass-on-able. Is it something someone can turn to somebody else and say, oh, I just met Sally over here. And say what you do. Is it something someone can easily tell a friend about, a family member, someone that you meet 5 minutes from now across the room? It's got to be easily pass-onable. Not if you quizzed them, not if you handed them a card with the words on it, but does it just stick so they can go on from there, right? Now with that, here's an example. Now this is not the example. I'm not saying, oh, you should all use it. Yours is going to be different, but this might be a good starting point for you. I work with people who want to improve their lives and their health by working one-on-one with a coach. Easy to remember, easy to say in conversation, easy to, easy for the other person to remember. It's short and sweet, easy to have that conversational tone there. You're clear both about the process. So the process is, I work one-on-one with people. The outcome is improve their lives and health. The other thing that I think is nice with this one for the business that we're in, wellness, and some of you may be combining your wellness coaching with work for a supplement company, or you may provide some kind of a supplement as your business plan, and that's fine. If you don't, though, realize that a lot of folks will confuse what you do. If you say, I work with people that want to improve their lives, or I work with people who want to improve their health. Because there are so many different products out there, the listener may immediately think that you're selling something. Obviously, you're selling something. You're running a business. You're selling a product. You're selling a supplement. You're selling a vitamin package. Those kinds of things. So it's fine if you are, but if you're not, you may want to emphasize this by working one-on-one with a coach type of a phrase. Same with medical care. You don't want to be confused with someone who's offering medical care unless you also do that. You can see this has a positive spin. It's not saying I'm going to help people lose weight or stop smoking or reduce their stress. You're saying improve their lives and health by working one-on-one with a coach. And is that worth passing on? Wow. Wow. I mean, seriously. I'm in the business, so maybe it's not a good example, but if I were in the wellness business and I met you, I know people that want to improve their lives and health. I know people that would love to work one-on-one with a coach. Yes, I'll pass that on. Straightforward, simple, and usable. And folks, I know this first session on strategy is around your vision and defining statement. This piece, this developing this clear, concise, conversational, pass-onable defining statement will change your business dramatically if you do it well. So take the time to do it well. And yeah, sure, feel free to steal this. That's fine. If that one fits you, make sure it fits you. But once you've got that dialed in, now you can do something with it. And we're going to wrap up with this section here. Where do you use it? You've written this thing out. Now what? Put it on your LinkedIn profile. Great spot to put it. You're not on LinkedIn? We'll talk about that. Voicemail. Include it in your voicemail. When you go do the speaking engagements, great. Have it on the handout that you're going to leave behind. When you're at networking events would be the obvious use of this. Hey, what do you do? Boom. Maybe even put it on your business card. When you write an article or a blog post or for somebody else's website or submit something for a newspaper or a magazine, you'll have a little bio. Great place to use it. So once you define, let's go back to it here. Once you've got this, I work with people who want to improve their lives and their health by working one-on-one with a coach. And you have all these places that you can utilize that. And it also is clear to you. When you get opportunities to do something, does it fit this? Is this one of the, there's a phrase, and I may misstate it here, but it's something along the lines of the opposite of excellence isn't bad or terrible, it's mediocrity. It's kind of floating along, just doing stuff, but not doing the great. Or a similar phrase, the opposite of great isn't bad, it's the good. It's the good that distracts you from actually pursuing the great. This can be one of those components that if you measure everything you do every day, by this. Start off let's just walk this through. And we're going to talk about systems later on, but just as a basic one, you start off your day, you sit down at your desk, you read this, you say, I work with people who want to improve their lives and health by working one-on-one with a coach. What am I going to do in the next hour to make that happen? Get it? All right, so here's your homework. This is your action plan. Please do this before you start the next session. Don't jump ahead. I know the next session is on strategy also. It's part B. But get this down pat. Define your why. Write it down. Don't just sit here at the computer screen and say, oh yeah, I think my why is I want to spend a little more time with my kids. I don't want to travel as much. You know, whatever. Take a piece of paper. I would encourage you to have a journal for this whole thing, by the way, but at a minimum, take a piece of paper, write it down. What is your why? Then define your who. What do you bring to the table? All those components we talked about, your history, your background, your education, your training, your credibility, your network, all those kinds of things. Number 3, compose your executive summary. That's your now. What does your business look like now? What are you designing that you're going to be pursuing for the next month? And then finally, compose your defining statement. Be very clear about that. And then a little utilization here. Before you start the next session, I want you to try that, saying that defining statement in 3 different sessions. That doesn't mean walk up to your dog, your best friend, and your kid and say, okay, here's my setting A. No, go to a meeting. Go to an event. And again, it doesn't even have to be a business event. It can be a running club or a cycling spin class or something. Whatever. The question's going to come up. Use that defining statement in 3 or more different settings before you open up the next session. All right. So that's the end of this one. How'd we do on time? All right, 37, 38 minutes. Next up is session 2. And in session 2 of the strategy section, we're going to go through the SWOT analysis and key performance indicators. This is where we start to bring to life the things we talked about during this session and put some specific plans into place based on that analysis. All right? So get those action plans done, and I'll see you at the next one.